Hi, welcome to my Florida Garden Escape channel. If you're new here, welcome. We're happy to have you. So today we're in the grow room, as you guys can probably tell. Today we are going to be going over some of the seeds that we're getting ready to start, and the seeds that we're getting ready to do for our fall garden, because we are starting to cool down some. We're not so much in the 90-degree weather anymore, so it's starting to cool down, which is nice. So let's dive into what we're going to be growing this season. Now, I do want to go ahead and say this. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that like button down below and hit that subscribe button along with that bell, so that way you don't miss out on any of our new videos. But let's go ahead and check out these seeds and take a look at what we're getting started. Alright, so we recently went out and got some new seeds when we went to speak with one of our vendors that we sell to. I like to get a lot of the seeds. Any seeds we get is from our local vendors and places we trust, that we know the seeds will be good germinations. We try and stick with a lot of the organic seeds. We try and be a little bit more of the organic side of things. So for the first one, we have the lettuce mini romaine. It's a Trucius, and then it's going to be this. We're really excited to grow that. We got the Turnip Market Express. All these crops here are going to be our fall crops. So we're going to get these ready for the fall and see how they go. We got some winter squash Lakota. I'm really excited to grow this one. We got some Brussels sprouts, Long Island. We got cauliflower, snowball white. Beautiful. We got some common milkweed, butterfly flower to help keep the pollinators in during the fall and winter times. We got sweet pea hyacinth. These are really pretty. I'm really excited to be growing these. We have another sweet pea that's a perennial blend because the other one is an annual blend, and these are really pretty. We have our dazzling blue kale, and then we also have cardinal basil. Now, a lot of before I show you guys this, a lot of our herbs we store into our greenhouse through the winter, so that way we're still able to keep those herbs throughout all season, and we're able to harvest from them all season. But that is going to be the cardinal basil there. I'm really excited about that one. We got some red burgundy okra, and then we also got the jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. And then we have the red Russian kale. We're going to be also doing some more green sprouting broccoli. And then a few more dinosaur kale as it is here. So these are going to be the seeds that we're going to be growing for the fall season. Along with a few more. This is just what we're getting ready to start. We've already started our yellow onions, our evergreen onions, our lettuces. I even started some Utah celery already as well. I'm getting ready to transplant some of our evergreen onions and our yellow onions along with some of our spinach that's in here. So that way we can kind of clear out the grow tent to make room for these new seedlings we're getting ready to start. We've done so many videos of transplanting them from this to doing the big seeds, so we really don't need to do another video on it. Now, with your transplanting, I do recommend when you transplant from these size pots right here to in-ground, I definitely do recommend using classic oatmeal, as classic oatmeal is like a root booster for the plants and a food for them. So that way, as they're getting used to that new soil, they're getting that food, and it's also boosting up those roots to spread out to the new ground that they're in, which is a definite recommendation because our eggplants went from this tall to now like boom. So it's definitely a great tool to use. But now I'm gonna go ahead and get started in transplanting our seedlings. So let me go ahead and get these out the way, and then I'll take you guys through on how we're gonna get these seeds started. Alright, so we got the seeds transplanted. As you guys can see here, there's not many because we already transplanted a lot out. Now I'm going to go ahead and flip you guys around and take a look at, see how everything looks currently before we start these seeds. Let's go ahead and check it out. Alright, so as you guys can see, we have these trays that are empty, and then this whole tray is pretty much empty. And then this tray, all we have left is another evergreen onion along with our Utah celery. The Utah celery that's not ready to be transplanted. So we're just going to leave these guys in here as these guys just recently germinated. So we're going to give these guys a little bit longer in here before we mess with them. But we're going to go ahead and get the seeds started on these trays. So let's go ahead and dig in. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is we're going to do each slot for different seeds. So let's go ahead and put our base soil in here. Kind of move that out the way. I'm going to take my little bucket here, reach in this bag, get some soil. Now, if you guys are wondering how we get our soil the way it is, I'll leave a description down, a link down in the description below to the video we did going over on how we make our own soil. Now what I'm doing currently is just dumping the soil in here and breaking it apart. You'll see in here that we've added even our own little compost mixed with some peat moss. And keep in mind, anything like big sticks like this, you don't want in there because you don't want too many air pockets to get through the soil. Now what I'm also going to do is just slightly push down on the soil with my finger, just to kind of make sure we're not leaving any gaps in there. And some people will knock the tray down and shake it up a bit. I don't like doing that because you still end up finding air pockets. Mixed in with our soil is a lot of the eggshells. It's a good fertilizer for plants and seeds. I find it a really good booster for our seeds that we put in because it's a great food source for them. So I'm just going to push all this down. Looks like we could use a little bit more. And I'm only going to leave a little bit of space because we're going to put only a pinch of soil at the top. So that way we're not having to push any holes down. We're going to be able to really spread it all out. We do have sticks in our compost and that, so that's why I'm finding little sticks in here. Because we have sticks in that in compost, because it's a good composter to use. Now we'll do a full video later on what to use in compost to really get you that black gold soil. So I'm just mashing all this down in there, and once I get all the soil added into these pots in these individual slots here, I'll then kind of go through and start adding the seeds and covering them up little by little. So that way I can make sure we're getting everything done. Now I would do this in the grow tent, but one thing I don't like to do why I don't start it in the grow tent is because I do have the fans on to add air circulation and wind to the plants, so that way they have healthy, strong stems. If I start them in the grow tent, I'll have to turn the fans off because sometimes the fans will blow those seeds around. So I like to start it out here on the tray, so that way I can access it better, reach it better. I don't have to reach totally in my grow tent to do it. So let's get these in here. I'm just adding a little bit to some slots that didn't get a whole lot of the soil in them, just to fill them up here. Alright, now don't mind this part. I'm going to go ahead and just like speed up the process here. slot half filled and then put the seed in and then cover it with more soil. You only want to leave just a little bit of room to add a little bit more soil because you don't want a thick layer on top of those seeds. So that way they have a much higher chance of germinating. Now we're going to go through and show you how we're going to add these seeds in. Alright, so first things first, we're going to do our jack-o'-lanterns. So I'm going to get these guys open here. There we go. Oh, nice, good big seeds. Alright. Now with these, I'm going to put, since they're so big, as you guys can see here, I'm going to put 2 in a slot to give us a much better chance of germination. Depending on the size of the seeds, sometimes I'll do 2, sometimes I'll do 3. But with these being so big, I'll just do 2 in each one. And then slightly cover it up with some soil. There we go. Alright. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll have a little bucket here. As you guys can see, I'll just take a little bit and slightly cover these seeds up and just slightly press down. I don't want to press too hard and suffocate the seed, but just slightly push down and just slightly cover it up with this chunk. As y'all can see here, we're just slightly pushing down on it and covering it up with that soil. Need a little bit more there. There we go. As you guys can see, I can slightly move the soil and we'll be able to uncover the seeds. So there we go. And now I'll label this slot so that way I don't forget. There we go. And we got our jack-o'-lantern seeds started. Now let's move on to our okra. Here's our okra seeds. Let's open these guys up. And this is going to be the same process for all our seeds. You don't want to bury them deep into the soil because then they don't have such a good germination rate. You want them close to the top of the soil so that way they don't have to struggle so much to get out of that soil. Right, here we are. Ooh, these are nice little marbles. So here is our seeds. And as you guys can see, it's really tiny. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. But with these guys being tiny, I'll actually put 3 of these seeds in to help get a better production of germination rate. So 3. And they always say put more than 1 seed in just to help increase that germination rate. Because the more is the better, and you always want to have more than just one of that one specific plant. Because sometimes just one plant isn't doable, especially if you have a large family you're trying to take care of and feed. You definitely want more than just one. So there we go, we got them in there. Now I'm going to just take a few pinches of soil and we're going to cover them up just like we did with our last seeds, with our jack-o'-lantern seeds. There we go. I am so excited to be growing these, to see how they come out. This is going to be so much fun. I've been waiting. I've enjoyed our summer and our springtime, don't get me wrong, but I love the winter and fall to watch everything change colors. Even though here in Florida, not a whole lot of our leaves change too many colors. We don't get the bright oranges that some people do. Like my grandmother, she stays up in Illinois, and they actually see the leaf color change and up there, to where down here we just go from green to yellow to none at all. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see all these different colors popping out of our garden. Alright, so we got those seeds covered. Now let's label them. And this is gonna be our red okra. Alright, next up we have our cardinal basil. Let's go ahead and get it started. Now once I get these guys planted, what I'll then do is I'll add water to the bottom of the tray. I don't like to water the top because sometimes the water can splash around those seeds. Look at this, guys. So inside this package you have another package that has the seeds in it. Isn't that ridiculous? These seeds must be super tiny. You can't even get into them. Oh, I got it, guys. Here we are. Oh, these seeds are really tiny. Oh, there's not much in them. Oh no. Well, it's okay. As you guys can see, they're definitely small and puny. So I'm gonna do as many of these as I can in one pod and try and spread these up into all 6 of these pods, so that way we're not leaving a spot empty. The good thing I'm doing it on this tray instead of in the grow tent, because those seeds would have definitely blown away. Now since those are smaller, I'm gonna just add only a smidgen of soil to it and then kind of tap it in there. I don't want to cover it too much with soil and then them have a hard time coming out. With your herbs, they don't like too much soil on top because they are a herb. They're not like an actual fruit or a veggie or anything. They like barely some soil on the top. Alright, there we go. We got those guys in there. Now I'm going to set this aside so I can keep the packaging in case I forget the name of it or anything. I always store my seed packets for a later time to review it, look at it again, things like that. Alright, here's going to be our cardinal basil. Cardinal basil in. Alright, so now we got that tray done. I'm going to go ahead and set this tray in there. Alright, there we go. I'm going to take this and add water to the tray already, so that way they can go ahead and start soaking up that water there. There we go. Now our next one is going to be the Dazzling Blue Kale. Let's get this open here. I always have such a hard time opening these seed packets. Where's my knife? My knife. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's take a look. Oh, these seeds are going to be kind of small too, so we don't need too much of them. So I'm going to just quickly show you all. That is the Dazzling Blue Kale seeds. Alright, and I'm just going to take a small little pinch and drop a few seeds in there. I'm not going to do a whole lot, maybe 3 or 4 in each one.
You don't want to go too crazy unless you got a lot of the seeds. Then you can go as crazy as you want. But I don't have a lot of these seeds, so I'm just going to try and do 3 to 4 seeds in there. Alright, there we go. Now I'll put the rest of these guys back. Alright. Dazzling blue kale seeds are in. Now we're just going to slightly cover them. Since the seeds are smaller, we shouldn't need a whole lot of soil. Just a smidgen, just like with the basil. You don't want to do a whole lot. You don't want chunks like this on top. Alright. Put our label. Alright, next up we have our Sweet Pea Perennial Blend. Let's go ahead and get these guys open and start some of these. I like to have flowers all year round, so that way we have pollinators at all times, because the pollinators is what's going to help that garden grow. Uh-oh. So these seeds are a little bit bigger. As you guys can probably see there, it is just a little bit bigger, not too much. I'm probably going to put 3 of these in each one. Now some people will start seeds in like wet, damp paper towels. I do not start seeds that way. I just put them in the soil and cover them up and then let them soak up that water as they need it. You don't ever want to cover them too much in the water, because then they could really get that root rotted, and too much water can suffocate the seeds. Now these, you're just going to put a little bit of soil, not much. You don't want to put them deep down in there. They want to be able to break through that soil without having to fight. They shouldn't have to fight to come out of that ground at all, any there. And then once we finish this tray, I'll set this tray in the grow tent, and we already have water in there, so they're going to automatically start soaking up some of that water. And then hopefully within maybe a couple weeks or so, we'll start to see some seeds germinate. Now I'm going to label this one. This is the Sweet Pea. Alright, got that one done. Should have it. Okay, there we go. I had to look to make sure I had another label here. Alright, and here are the Sweet Pea Hyacinths. These are the annuals. So we're going to plant these in too. The seeds are going to be just like the perennial seeds, I have a feeling. Normally when you have different varieties of plants, but they're of the same family, the seeds really look a lot alike. And I'll show you guys here in a second. This one actually has more seeds in it than that other one did. As you guys can see here, about the same. So I'm just going to pop 3 in these little spots here. Kind of spread them throughout. Let them go. Kind of like that song, let it go. Let it go. Don't ask me to sing, I cannot sing, guys. I should keep to my gardening, right? I just need one extra. Alright. Alright, and I won't worry about labeling this side because it's going to be the same thing as these ones, except these are annuals and these are perennials. So that's just going to be the only difference between the two. I like to stick with annual plants so that way I don't have to keep replanting them. But you know, not every plant is a perennial. A lot of them are annuals. So we really gotta savor the annual ones. And I'm just gonna add a little bit more because I still see a little bit of the seeds. You just want to make sure you cover it good. I did not mean to do that. Alright, just a little soil. There we go. And y'all are probably thinking, well, Celine, if you don't want the big sticks in there, why would you want the eggshells in there? And like I said, guys, the eggshells is going to add nutrients to that ground to help feed the ground. So that's why the eggshells don't really matter. Alright, so our last tray here, we got the sweet peas in. We are now going to do the common milkweed. So let's get it in. I like to plant things that are going to help keep the pollinators in because, like I say, guys, the pollinators is what's going to help push everything out and really get our crops where we need them to be. There we go. I had to use my knife to open it up. It just would not open up for me. Alright, let's take a look at these seeds. Well, there's only a couple of seeds in here. And that sucks. But these seeds are definitely flat. It doesn't even really look like a seed, but I'm just going to go ahead and stick 3 of them in each pod. So that way we have a much higher chance of germination. And they're kind of hard to pick up, really, because they're so flat. I might have to just put 2 in one because they didn't put a whole lot of seeds in there. Alright, there we are. And we're going to slightly just cover these milkweeds up. Now with some plants like impatiens, you don't want to cover the seed up. You just want to slightly push it down into the soil because they like to be right there at the top. With a lot of these, they want just slight soil on them, not a whole lot. Alright, got those in there. Let's label them. Where'd my marker go? I lost my marker. Oh, here it is. Found it. I always lose this thing, I swear. Alright, there we are. Alright, that row's done. Now for our next row, we are going to be doing the cauliflower snowball Y. These are kind of small too. Thankfully they put a lot in there. They're definitely small looking. I don't know if you guys can see that all that well. But we are just going to take a small pinch of 3 or 4 seeds and just set them in there. These we won't bury too much because they're so small. We want them to have that room to pop out. And it looks like I ran out of labels, so I'll have to go get some more labels. So, I will be right back. so now I'm back. I'm gonna go ahead and cover these seeds just a little bit here. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to grab our labels that I just went and got. And these are cauliflower. We're just going to put cauli and snowball. Alright, stick that in there. There's that label. Alright, so next up we have our Brussels sprouts Long Island Improved. These are right here. Go ahead and pop these open. You guys should have seen me the first year I started doing seeds in that. I tore up my seed packet so bad just trying to get them open. It was terrible. Alright, so these are just going to be small, just like the cauliflower seeds. I don't know if you guys can see all those too well, but they're kind of... Yeah, I know, I just turned it off. Get out of here. Alright, so I'm just sprinkling some of the seeds in here. Not gonna put a whole lot, just about 4. So that way we're getting some good amount of seeds in here. Alright, and I'm gonna put the rest of these back. Alright, now let's cover the seeds up. And then I have one more tray we're going to do. I'm just going to slightly push that soil down on them. And when I do this, guys, I'm just slightly pushing down on the soil. I don't add too much because the seeds are so small, they're going to automatically go into the soil as I'm pushing down in them. So I'm not adding too much with the smaller seeds because they'll blend so well in with that soil and that. Alright, let's get a label. And this is our Brussels sprouts, Long Island. And as we always say, guys, it's always good to do varieties, different varieties of them. So that way you can really play with what you have. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get this other tray here. We have a few, 3 more we need to do that I really want to go ahead and just get started today. So we're going to do the same process with this tray. Fill it up with the soil and then add the seeds. So let's go ahead and do it real quick. sides look like here. It's interesting to see what each seed looks like. I'm struggling to open it. So you guys, these seed packets sometimes don't always like me. Oh, these seeds are nice and big and white. I'm going to quickly show you guys here. So the seeds look like this. They're nice, big, and white. I'm going to set 2 of these in each since they're so big, just like with the pumpkin seeds. So that way they aren't clustering up together, and that looks like I'll have enough to do like an extra one and another one at a later time or something. So I'm just going to save this last one for another time. Alright, now we're just going to slightly cover. Alright, there we go. Now a label. And we're just going to call this Lakota. There we go. And next is going to be our turnips. These guys right here. Sounds like these seeds are going to be a little on the smaller side, but that's alright. There we go. Yep, these are going to look actually just like some of the milkweeds and that. As you guys can see there, they're definitely small in size. I dropped one on accident. There it is. And we're just going to put 4 or 5 in there. Not too many. You don't want to cluster it up. And then once these germinate, I actually have the greatest spot for them. Where we had the black table queen acorn squash, I think that's where these are going to go. They would make a great, well, no, this is turnips. So these are going to go into a pot since they're a herb. I'll just use these in a pot. I'm actually going to do a little bit of research on these before I decide on where I'm going to put them. So we're just going to slightly cover them. Alright, let's label them. Turn up. Alright, that one's done. Now the last one is going to be our Truchus mini romaine lettuce. This will be the last one we do today, and then that'll be that. We'll let these guys do their thing, and then once they germinate and they get a little bit bigger, then we'll transplant them and get them into a much bigger pot. And I don't get why they put a package within a package. It's like, just give me the seeds, dang it. Sorry guys, being extra, I know. Alright, so these seeds are interesting. They're a solid white seed. I don't know if you guys can see them there, but they're just a little solid white little seed. I don't know if you guys can see it that good, but they're just solid little marbles here. So we're just going to put 3 of them in each. Hopefully I'll have a little extra and I can reuse these for next season as well. There's 3 there, 3 there, and 3 there. And I dropped one. And I don't know where it went. Oh well. Oh, there it is. Found it. Alright, we're going to stick these guys back in their little packaging and put them in here. Alright, now let's label these guys. And then we'll be done. Here we go. Alright, my Flora Garden Escape channel. So that is going to be it. We had to cut it short due to my phone dying. And then also, dog needed to come out and use the bathroom apparently. So, you guys have a great and wonderful rest of your day. Sorry you had to see that. Until next time, my Flora Garden Escape channel. Deuces!